Another concerning thing that has been happening in the world of pro wrestling is Kevin Nash. He was recently on his podcast and was talking about his, you know, it's been 3 months, 4 months, I believe it is, since he lost his son. And he made a very, very concerning comment that woke up the wrestling world. And he said, time flies when you got to get your mouth. And his podcast host said, don't joke about that. You can't talk about stuff like that. And Kevin responded with, I can do whatever I want as long as I leave a note. And man, that another incident that shook us. And luckily, not luckily, but there was somebody on Twitter who apparently had been in contact with Kevin Nash, and they said that Kevin doesn't have any intention of hurting himself or harming himself. Um, but I also wanted to know your take on this, and you know how you feel about the Kevin Nash situation as far as his comments, and if we. I know we should be concerned, but I wanted to know just your take on everything that's been happening with Kevin Nash.
Yeah, sure. I put this. Sometimes we forget that wrestlers are humans because they're like these larger than life characters, and we forget that they experience life the same way us regular people experience life. And you look at Kevin Nash and what he's known for and his stature and stuff like that, and you just see a manly man. And I don't
Mm,
think people take like mental health of men like into consideration oftentimes than not. Um, if you look at studies and stuff like that for mental health, like, men are more likely to do things erratically, at least it seems like erratically, and definitively when it comes to their attempts, and people don't really see it coming. We were lucky enough that we caught wind of it off of a podcast, but it made you think like he could have done something in silence. And I don't know, it just got me thinking again, because most people don't take consideration mental health of men often, and what he's going through, or it has to be such a hard situation, man, because I mean, for majority of men that come onto this earth, like your ultimate goal down the line is to definitely procreate, and a lot of men um get excited when they have their firstborn son. You know what I
mm.
mean? It's like your
Yeah.
mini you. And nothing hurts more than living a life knowing that you have to bury your son,
Mm,
And on top of that, again, he recently lost his best friend not too long ago within a 365-day time span. And it's a lot. And you can't blame the man for feeling the way that he's feeling. Not that I am at all condoning. I do not at all. It's one to just affirm that I do not condone the idea of entertaining it, but it's just like, what do you even tell a man in that situation
yeah.
when you lose your right hand man and your son? So people were saying, oh, well, he might have been like the influence, or maybe he was just half joking. I think he was entirely dead ass, but he's in a state right now where he's just here existing, because what else do you do, when you're used to having, as he said, three bodies in a house, and now there's two, and as he put it, like, that person's on a vacation, they're not out with their friends, they're not out having a late night, that they're not coming back. That is so hard. And I cannot imagine what he's going through. So my love and my prayers goes out to Kevin Nash and his family. I hope there's a watchful eye on him beyond just one person reaching out to him on Twitter. I hope that there's someone constantly checking in, because, again, the scary thing about men is that you guys are very different from us women.
Yeah.
We tend to wear our emotions on our sleeves a lot more times than not, whereas men tend to harvest their emotions until like they hit a boiling point, and it just happens. And then everyone's like, "Well, we didn't see the signs." You know what I mean? I wish we would have known. And then we would have reacted. And we would have helped. So it's alarming to me. Um, I just hope that he is getting some type of help that he needs to help him cope. Obviously, no amount of therapy is going to help make up for the loss of your son and your best friend, but at least he might have the tools to at least coast by and be able to just come to terms, because I do want to see him around. I do want to see him around, and see him eventually be happy again. But I don't have the right to tell him how
Yeah.
how to feel in a situation like this. I do not. I just wish the best for Kevin Nash. And I'm just gonna leave it on that note. Do you have any takes or anything you would like to add on to that?
Um, to kind of echo what you're saying, that wrestlers are human, and that men are human, and I feel like, as it seems like two very very common statements, but they're very profound, and I also believe that sometimes they get lost in the shuffle because of just life and society as we know it. Uh, Kevin Nash, I feel like, number one, like you said, I hope somebody is keeping a watchable eye on him. I think another big thing for me is just like losing your son and then losing your best friend and then losing your son within the span of a year. These two traumatic events, with one of these things, just one, could do damage on you if it were to happen within a 10-year span. But like two of them happening in the same year is just a different type of pain. And I'm once, like you said, like there is no amount of therapy that can deal with losing your son and losing your best friend. Um, I really want him to be able to cope in a healthy way, and just be able to understand that he carries their spirits with him, and that they will always live in him, and that you know like Kevin is loved on this earth by so many people. And I mean, it may be hard based off of where he is in his life to get that, or he may not even care, just based off of what he's dealing with, which I understand, because this is a lot and this is heavy. um but I think this is just a lesson that we as human beings just need to empathize with each other, because this is a very dark battle to be dealing with. And you don't know what his thoughts are. Well, we know a little bit of his thoughts, unfortunately, but like, it's just, we just have to empathize and sympathize with people, regardless of what they may be going through, because it's a lot, and life is a lot, and you get thrown things in situations that you may not have been commonly exposed to, and now you got to learn how to deal with it, even though you have no experience dealing with it. And man, I just want to send my love and my prayers to him and his family. um Godspeed. And we're rooting for you. We're rooting for you, Kevin Nash. We're rooting for the family of Jay Briscoe. We're rooting for the wrestling world. We're rooting for all the wrestlers who are struggling with mental health, that help is out there, that you're not going through this alone. You're not isolated. You're not by yourself. And I think that that's just a message that just needs to continue to be pushed, is that you're not alone and you're not by yourself. And yeah, I think that's we're gonna end that part on that note.